I don't know, may as well kick it off with a kind of a explosive thing, I suppose. So Allie Bradley, I don't know who Allie Bradley is, but I'll just go ahead. She posted on X something that kind of caught my eye, kind of made me a little bit, I don't know, leery about what we're looking at here. Let me get this sharing up there. I've been told we're not supposed to do this anymore because it looks weird, but for this, I think we will. Just to make sure. So she says, multiple Border Patrol sources confirm the soft-sided migrant process facility Firefly. So I guess there's one of those facilities where they gather up all the people coming across the border in Eagle Pass, evacuated everyone to other facilities within the Del Rio sector last night. The FBI was alerted to threats by 2 known extremists who are targeting Firefly because they claim it is a smuggling hub, saying that they plan to overthrow it by any means necessary. The report shows this could happen anytime between yesterday and Monday. According to the reports, they are also planning to infiltrate the convoy headed there and target other law enforcement.
Convoy should be there tomorrow, they expect, by February 3rd.
And that's what we're looking at, the convoy heading down there. And I don't want to dissuade people from supporting the convoy down there to support Abbott in.
Oh, excuse me. I thought you were talking about the convoy of immigrants, because there's one that should due to cross
and
thousands of people.
Might
Saturday.
be, but there's also the trucker convoy heading from
and that
here.
to me feels very shady. I would be very careful, people. Everybody wants to support, but this feels like a Jan 6 moment, and I'm asking and begging that know who's putting this together. For number one, make sure the FBI's not got their hand in it. Pretty sure they do. Nothing would surprise me.
Even then, I mean,
but you be careful. Be careful, because peaceful protest, meandering, parading, all of that is getting people ridiculous jail sentences. And I hope that Governor Abbott will stand the line in between, people getting in trouble and not. But I also feel like there might be, I don't see from Border Patrol in the interviews I've at least watched, do they have any intentions of messing with Texas's right to protect the border? So I don't know if this is an artificial drama where the government is trying to get people riled up, because the more riled up we get and separated and divided, the easier we are to control.
Yeah. And here's my concern. I've got 2 concerns about it. We saw first of all, okay, January 6th, whatever you believe about it, I'm not going to pick that apart, and I don't need to beat the drum on that. But it has been used as a tool of the Democrat Party and the media to say, oh, the right wing's awful, and and it totally shadowed, even though it shouldn't, all the stuff that happened through all of the BLM riots. For 2 years, BLM burned cities to the ground, all that stuff.
Summer of love.
Yeah, but it was more than a summer. It was 2 summers of love.
Yeah, and there was murder.
And so it overshadowed all that, so we don't get any recompense for that. I mean, the people who got damaged in that are still damaged.
And the people who committed atrocities never got charged.
Yeah, those guys at Chaz that killed those 2 kids that stole a car and were out driving around. I'm not here to adjudicate whether any of that was right or wrong. But
hi, Fred.
What's up, Fred? But all those guys, they just hammered down on him. And then there was even no investigation into one of the kids got killed, and one of the kids, I think, got hospitalized long term. But there was no investigation on that.
Retired officer was killed.
The retired officer in Louisiana, I think it was.
Yeah,
Was
in
it
the pawn
Louisiana?
shop. I'm not
Yep.
sure. I mean, it's just it all got ignored, and not ignored. I mean, the Democrats literally made a fund where they were bailing these people out as fast
Not
as
just
officers
the
could put them in,
Democrats,
and they took
our
over
vice president.
Right, and they took over police departments.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just.
And because of January 6th, anytime you bring that up, it's just, well, January 6th. So
It just is
we're
meant to
not
shut
getting
you up.
any justice for that. So what I'm worried about is that this trucker convoy, I'm going to say outright, 100% of it, build up and everything else is honest. But on the way there, that's where they will pick up people like people with ill intent. That's where an Antifa guy can hop on board, get a semi truck, whatever, hop on board, and then go down there and totally make the whole convoy in support of him
FBI
look bad.
plants.
And we don't even have to drift too far into conspiracy theory to think the FBI is in there. I mean, let's remember the Whitmer kidnapping of 18 people who were involved in that plan. 12 of them. Somebody reflect on that. 12 of them were either FBI or informants. And then the very guy that ran that was pulled aside to be put in charge of the January 6th investigation.
Time is crucial. Don't be stupid. If you are going to the border to assist the governor and the National Guard, to represent states, to represent the voice of your fellow Americans, we appreciate it, but be smart. Be smart. Don't be a hindrance to what they're trying to do down there.
And don't be a hindrance to the either side. Even if the border control is doing something shady, get out of their way. Don't get set up with a new set of bracelets, because you're just going to hurt any message you have.
Right.
And if anyone has any ideas how to support this, but make sure you're supporting it in a manner that
is productive and safe.
Is productive and won't get wrapped up in this, please let us know. That'd be we would love to hear it. We'll blast it out.
We'd also love, any footage that you guys take when you're down there.
Mm-hmm.
We're welcome to have you on the show and let you discuss any footage you get as a citizen media. But be safe, be smart, and be thoughtful. The January 6th was a weapon. It still is. And it tries to shut people up at the mere mention of it.
A weapon of dissuasion.
Well, it's meant to tell the public to sit down and shut up. The right. It's sit down and shut up. You have no rights. But can I just ask, the vice president was actually in the building. Kamala Harris was in the building. First of all, we didn't know that on January 6th, where the pipe bombs were found.
And they still don't know. They still don't.
Found by an undercover officer.
Who
then alerted the Secret Service, who was sitting in their car having lunch, who didn't immediately get out and get it. In fact, kids walked past it, a whole bunch of kids. And it's almost like they weren't worried about it.
Almost like
it's on camera, the guy dropping it.
Yeah.
The guy's finding it. Secret Service going after it. You guys, it doesn't fit the narrative, so they've let it go. I think that, to me, I'd really, really like to know about the pipe bomb, because that's a different person. That's different than a protest gone wild. That's different than mob mentality. That requires premeditation. That is intended to hurt people. And it also had a kitchen timer on it that lasted about 1 hour, and they said it was out there for 17. So again, don't be stupid. If you're going to the border and you want to show solidarity with Texas and the Border Patrol, don't be a hindrance. Don't do anything that gets you as a target.
Well, it's not just that. The big thing I think about January 6th is it's been used as a platform for everyone to say, well, what about? When we should be dealing with the criminal activities that tore this nation apart for 2 years. We should be dealing with that.
And the questions about the election of 2020, because there were 4 counties that had some questions. And
regardless about the questions, we should be dealing with the crime that happened. But because January 6th has overshadowed it,
Yeah.
It's given any even slightly left-wing DA or anything cover to not investigate it. I mean, all that does is leave a door open for this to become kind of status quo. What happens when Trump wins in November? Do we just settle with, we've got this boiling undersurface all through next winter, and then it explodes all next summer? What do we do then? How do we come out of that?
You have to have a very, very strong commander-in-chief who supports local law enforcement. And
it's not even that.
You've got to have community, and you've got to have citizens showing up with their weapons.
You've got it. The most important, you have to have a criminal justice system that will actually deal with this. And where they didn't for 2 years, I promise you right now, the Black Lives Matter, the Antifa, the FBI. Criminal underclass is looking at this like this is how we get political stuff done, because they're the ones who won.
You notice they were parading and chanting in the Capitol recently for Palestine.
All the time. Yeah,
Fred says if anything gets messy, get away and
get
stay
out
of federal custody.
Yeah, I would honestly say the truckers. Here's a thought: find a place where you're not one. I abhor it when those stop oil people block traffic. So let's not do that, because that doesn't win any people over. Find a place where you're not going to block traffic and set up a festival.
About Eagles Pass.
Nope. You don't want to be where they are. You want to be a mile behind them. Set up a festival, rent a bouncy house, rent a food truck, whatever, and set up a festival that's safe and welcoming. Do not go to Eagles Pass. That's how you get in the way. That's how a person stumbling to a honey bucket gets arrested, because the law enforcement says he was in the way. We don't want any arrests. You go down there, you be safe, you be happy, take your kids, make it a positive situation.
I wouldn't take your kids.
Don't go any kids.
I would not take your kids.
Kids actually help. They proved that in Canada. I don't like the description of peaceful or not peaceful. I prefer lawful or unlawful. If you break the law, either side, you answer for it. And that is true.
That's a fair justice system. Right now, we're not dealing with fair, especially with DAs. And Fred, you know, how many deputies do you know that can put a case together that is airtight and a prosecutor can't prosecute? Either because a judge doesn't want it, or they don't think it can get anywhere. And that even if they do, it doesn't last. Sentences don't last. We need a full overhaul of the system. But the reason I say don't take your kids is because the reaction that you will get from the federal government, if in fact they conceive you're a threat, which
that's why you don't go up there. But I'm just telling what they learned in Canada.
Stop making me sad.
They learned in Canada is when they went in, they set up. Now, the one thing they did wrong is they did go into a city and kind of block traffic. I think that was wrong. I think they should have went to an open field outside the city, got permission, gone into that field and set up their thing there.
Freedom doesn't get permission.
That is true.
And I think it wouldn't have made the same impact.
How is Stop Oil doing?
I get it.
Do you want to make enemies, or do you want to welcome friends?
I'm just too afraid that the American people who try to do something at the border are going to be...
Let me finish my thought.
Oh, sorry.
But what the kids did is, by having kids there and bouncy houses, they rented bouncy houses. They had chili cook-offs. What it did is, when the media came and said, they're all Nazis and evil, people went, wait a second. Why do they have a bouncy house? That doesn't comport with what you're saying. So it broke the media narrative. And just 2 weeks ago, the Canadian courts told Trudeau that he, let me put it in my words, he's a fascist and he just stole their money because they didn't agree with it.
Well, he can declare an emergency, which is the risk we have with the federal government right now. If you give presidential powers, this is what the Democrats are at least thinking first. You give presidential power to Biden to declare an emergency on the border. Trump gets the same, and they're scared of that.
I don't want
nobody
either
should have
of them
emergency powers.